Welcome to Coleman on Purpose, the podcast for a purpose, on purpose. I am David J. Coleman, and I am excited to have you here for today's episode. So, I've been on a mission to stop overthinking and truly get back to things that bring me joy. And one thing I've always been able to find joy in is music. But not just any music. I'm talking about music that uplifts and builds the inner parts of everything that is within you. That's what music has always been able to do for me over time since I was little. I'm beginning my Songs of Spring series in which I'll be taking music that has or is impacting my life for good and steering it the way that I see it and how I have looked at it on my journey to purpose. If I say I didn't keep up with like the analytics of my show, I would be lying to you. Surprisingly, one of my most listened to shows was me talking about CCM music versus gospel music. So that was back from my childhood. And so that was one of my most popular episodes. And it was a two-part series. And I guess people really enjoyed it. So I want you to, if you get a chance, go back and revisit it. It's a lane that I rarely go down, but I'm getting back to that because those are things, like I said, that do bring me joy. And I can talk about music for hours. Like if I sit down and talk with you about music, past, present, all of that stuff, I can definitely do that. And that's why I've always loved music. The only instrument I think I ever played was the trombone. Music is powerful and it can truly alter the way that you feel and what headspace that you're in or that you live in. So I wanted to get back to music that brings me joy or makes me think about where I've been or how far I've come in my journey. To me, that is purpose. Music that inspires you to live and not die or lose hope in your dreams. I sat down and I began to write this stuff out this morning when I woke up. I usually get directly into my devotions. It's like a habit that I've been trying to pick up on. But today I just was like, Lord, can I do this real quick? And I went ahead and I just started writing for this podcast because it had been on my heart to do this just since maybe like a week ago. So, not a lot of you may know that I majored in college in broadcast communications. And one of my dreams was to become a radio DJ in hopes of maybe having my own radio station someday or something like that. And I started interning at a place called Yes FM in the summer after I graduated from college. After I graduated in college in 2008, I really enjoyed being at the radio station. I was like on a nighttime show doing things on there. And that type of stuff is stuff that I've been doing since I was a kid. I would sit up in my room and make my fake station. I would have all my drama shows that would come on with me playing all the characters and all that. I talk about it in my summer series that I did last season where I'm breaking down things. It's called The Other Side. So if you get a chance to check that out, you can check it out and see like more into-depth stuff that I was talking about during that time. But it's something that I've done all of my life, is just pretending that, I had my own radio station and I was a DJ and I would play the music and I had my friends come in on it and all that. So that was a really fun part of my life. And I do like to go and revisit that because those are some of the dreams and stuff that are built into you. And that's all part of your purpose. So what is this first song that I'm getting ready to talk about and why am I pulling from this artist? So I was going to the gym the other day to work out and I usually put on my hype music, the music that pumps me up, gets my adrenaline going. That's usually like I might listen to some hip hop or pop music or something real dance heavy where it can get me going. But recently in my life, I've been changing my normal habits and I've been getting used to seeking different types of music to instill this joy in my life. And that usually has always come from, gospel music or music that I grew up with. That's stuff that really inspires me to continue on. And so I remember writing on this chalkboard wall that I have here, Everlasting Joy. And that saying Everlasting Joy made me think of the artist Cece Winans. Now, Cece Winans has an album called Everlasting Love. So I ended up going on my little phone and I pulled up Everlasting Love and I started playing it from the very beginning. And right after that first joint played on there, Well, All Right, I was taken back to 1998, freshman year in high school, trying to do every other thing but be saved, because I was trying to get so far away from it. So I was like, you know what? I like my CC, but this ain't really like hitting like it's supposed to, because I'm trying to listen to, like, Lauryn Hill was out during that time. It was all this stuff that was distractions during that time. We had Lil Kim. There was a lot of stuff that was out during that time, and I was trying my best to make sure that I fit that mold and was listening to what everyone else was, or just what my friends we thought was popular and stuff like that. So that wasn't as popular, but I rocked with it because Cece is my girl. She's been a long time person that I love to listen to. So mind you, as a teenager, I'm listening for the beats. I want to hear the beats, like as people would say on the reality shows. Like, I was listening for the beat, and I was not really trying to hear the words to a song. So this album from Cece was very different from her first album, which was Alone in His Presence. If you all remember that fabulous album that my mom used to play over and over and over and over in the house. It would just be playing. It was such a peaceful album. This was a whole different type style. Like, Everlasting Love was very R&B heavy. And as a teen, that's what I wanted to hear. Something that was going to give me that vibe of what I felt like I was missing from popular music that all my friends and that what we were listening to, like I mentioned. And I was not listening for each and every word or pinpointing stuff. But now I feel like when I'm listening to this album, I am listening and pinpointing things that specifically speak to me during this season of my life. And that was the liberating, and that was the changing thing for me to realize as I was listening to Everlasting Love. For me to even recognize that right now in my life tells me that I am further along in this walk than I think. And that is the blessing. That's the real blessing about all of this. Like I said, when I was younger, I didn't really realize what I was listening to, but I got to appreciate the album 10 times more now. I got on that elliptical machine. I started listening, and in about 3 songs in, it came to a song called What About You? And from the very first words of that album, I was like, I got to break this song down piece by piece. So that's what I'm getting ready to do with this song called What About You? That I think it's the 3rd track on Everlasting Love. And now this is my interpretation of what the writers, which were Cece Winans and a guy named Tony Rich, wrote this song. And this is my interpretation of how this song spoke to me. And this is going to be a great series, I know. So let's get into this. Let's just get into it right now. So the very first lyrics of the song, I'm going to go through a whole stanza on each one, and then I'll break it down for you like what I got. So let's get into the first stanza. It says, everybody's looking for a peace that flows, and everybody wants a place to go. Nobody wants to kneel and pray, so nobody receives results without faith. When someone falls along the wayside and everybody knows why, another heart sadly broken, I'm here to help, no need to cry. So I started to think about that stanza, and I says, now, what gives me total peace? What gives you total peace? I ask you that. Something that lasts when you're by yourself or have lost your way. What gives you that total peace? I think no one genuinely wants to live in chaos or worry all the time. Or on your journey, you may be trying to find if you can do it on your own, or what helps give you the peace that you need. And I believe at a certain point in time, there is like a search that is within yourself. I always thought that my peace came from just going to church. But now I realize that that peace is because there are genuine people in the church that are there to find their peace as well. So we are not meant to tear down. We are meant to build. I've gone to church for the wrong reasons many, many, many times, but you begin to realize that people are there to help you and not hurt you and bring you into the presence of the one who is peace, which is the Lord. And I finally get that. It took me a very, 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 very long time to realize that. Maybe some people don't realize it even at my age, but I'm starting to see that once I began to trust more. I truly start to feel the Spirit of God there because I'm searching for something. And as I'm searching, it's becoming easier and easier and easier. I stopped trying to fight to leave him out, and I began to like let God and let him into my life so he could really do the work that needed to be done within me. And that all leads to part of my purpose. And a big portion of this verse that yelled at me, like literally all out loud, because you know what I'm hearing in the back of my mind. This verse, when it says, when someone falls by the wayside, another heart sadly broken. It made me think of people saying that church is full of broken people. And I just began to think of all the people that have either left the church or lost their faith in the church. And I believe we get into this mindset of church being that building. And we are the church, but a lot of people say I can find it still on my own. If we're the church, then I can be that anywhere. Yes, that's all great and true. But there are certain people or certain things sometimes when you are reaching your purpose or trying to find that. Yes, other people have to venture out and do their things, and maybe people are called to evangelize outside of the four corners. I have no problem with all of those things. I just feel like there is a refreshing that comes when you're covered, when there's things that are there that come to tackle or to fight you. You have something to fall back on that other people along with you are gaining as well. And it is good to have that back up sometimes of like-minded people that are there and that can be that system of support for you during those times. So I had a old podcast episode called Why Do I Still Go to Church, or Why Am I Still in Church? I forgot. It was last season. Check that one out because it was another one that I kind of I delve into some of those topics. So the reason why I bring up that point about people saying that church is full of broken people, I said this in my notes. This is true that the church is full of broken people at times, but I believe there are broken people that are there that are being redeemed and being restored that truly want to either have been fixed or are fixed to walk in their divine and predestined purpose. So I've been talking a lot about this. Like Coleman on Purpose is like the name of my show, but it's really not about Coleman on Purpose. It's about God moving through Coleman on purpose. You know what I'm saying? And that's really how I look at it. It's not my agenda anymore. And I really truly mean it's not my agenda anymore. I've taken my hands off it. And the reason I know this is because I can come back to this right now. I wrote this in my notes and I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. I'm finding more in my life that I don't have to argue to prove myself anymore like I used to have to do with others, or prove who I am or what God is doing in my life. Like that's no longer anything I have to prove. I just have to show the results or show the fruit of what has been happening in my life. And that's kind of where I've been just recently, let me tell you. And I'm still, it's like a journey getting there. And it's sometimes hard to talk about, but this is why I believe God gave me this idea to come here and to talk about this on the podcast, is because I wanted people to see the process of how this goes. When I first had Coleman, like when I first got the idea from the Lord about Coleman on Purpose, guess what I told him? I told God, look, I don't want you to be part of this. Like, I want to be as far away from, it's going to be my purpose, like what my life was, what it entailed, everything that surrounded my life. And I didn't want to be overly spiritual. I was like, I don't want to say it too much because that's going to draw viewers away or something like that. But I still want to encompass it because church has a lot. God was like, what? I'm going to give you this idea and you're going to run and talk about, we're going to make this our idea. We're going to do, no. That's why I'm so glad that I heard more of what I was doing in this process. And I started to listen to the episodes. Sometimes I tell people not to even listen to season 1 sometimes, because there were some great, let me tell you, there are some great episodes in season 1 that I had, but even telling my testimony, I didn't really want to say the Lord. Like, I didn't want to put that when the Lord was the one who healed me from my traumatic brain injury. I probably did say it in the episode somewhere because I can't escape it. It's all there. It's all in me. It's something that you can't just run from and say, you can't take your hands off what God is doing in you or what God is to you. That's something that you can run as much as you want and do whatever. But I'm telling you, it's here. And I'm just now recognizing that, like, it's no fight. Like, it's just like, God, Do what you have to do. Move people out the way that don't need to be there. Put things in place that are support for me, that are helping me, that are doing things. And I believe that he is doing that little by little, even though I can't see all the different aspects of it. I know that that's what's happening. So when I was hearing that part about people broken or running away from it, I've tried that and it didn't work because I know the plans he has for me. And so it's like you cannot run from that thing. And so I realized through all the tears that God was here the entire time. He was trying to help me along to find my way, to give me direction, to tell me which way I need to go. I could have saved myself a lot of tears if I had just let him work in me what he wanted to or what he ordained me to be. It was not man that ordained me to be me. It was God who ordained me to be David, Joseph, Coleman. That is what it's all about. So let's skip forward to the chorus real quick before I start getting on here. Like, this is part of what is in me that I've tried. You can't hold back what God has in you at all. So let me get to this part. So everybody needs somebody to love. So it says everyone needs someone to love. Everyone needs or wants a hand to hold. Everybody needs salvation for your soul. So what about you? Now, this course is amazing to me because after my divorce, I began looking for a person or a thing to stand by my side, to walk with me so I wasn't lonely. That's what I needed, but what I actually needed was salvation, which it talks about in here. Everybody needs salvation for your soul. So real quickly, let me hop into the dictionary real quick for the definition of salvation. It says, preservation or deliverance from harm, ruin, or loss. It says a source of means of being saved from ruin or loss, one's salvation. So that's what it talks about in there. And then it talks in the theology where it says deliverance from sin and its consequences believed by Christians to be brought about by faith in Christ. And of course, that's the theological, but that is my belief that it's a saving. And it said it's a conservation, it's a preservation, a means for escape, or a lifeline. That's a word that I love to hear, a lifeline for you to grab on and to hold as you're going through. And so I believe that's what I needed. That's why the song saying, "What about you?" spoke so heavily to my spirit way back in 1998 when this was first released. Who knew back then as a teenager I would need that song to come back to me again here in 2025 to remind me of who I am. Let's go to the next verse. Everybody wants to live life good. Does anyone live the way they should? It's never too late to turn around, 'cause everyone lost can be found. So when you're feeling so alone, don't think that you can't come home. And when you want to be held close, my arms are open, so let me know. This particular verse reminded me of just praying for a happy life. Like Kirk's song back in the day, I just want to be happy, that I ran to the ground during when I was going through my divorce. I do believe now that songs like whatever you're singing over and over, it does hold power. It will begin to get or manifest in your mind. So I was just singing, I want to be happy. I just want to be happy. I just want to be happy. And I know the song means a difference to a lot of, everybody can have their own interpretation. But I realized at that time, I needed to be happy in that time. That was for that season. But now I'm realizing that joy is so much more. I heard someone say something interesting, that happy is an emotion and joy is something that you carry. It's not just a feeling. So that's why I say now, let me live my life with joy, not just happiness, but joy. But then it says, does anyone live the way that they should? And I always believe nobody is perfect, but we should be aiming to be better, not just chill and give in and give way and just say it is what it is. And then there are thoughts that started to come to my mind as I was writing this. Is like, well, what about what I was called all my life? Or this is what they said I should do, or this is what they said I am, or this is what makes me feel good for the moment. No, What I want is what is everlasting. And everlasting is defined by lasting forever or for a very long time. There is one person that I learned would never leave me or forsake me as a child. And then I learned for myself as a grown adult. And it remained true that the Lord was always going to be there for me. Friends have come and gone. Things have been great in one season and horrible in the next. And even family can't always attend to every need that I have. I now have to rely on something that is greater than myself that I could have been relying on the whole time during my walk, but you have to learn. That's what the journey is about. It's about learning. I can only get me so far. Anyone who has accumulated much or is here or accomplished much in life can always tell you there are still lows when you get to the top. You're still going to have your low times. You're still going to have times when you're going to need not just somebody, but something greater than you or anyone else. Then the verse basically says, in his arms, they are always open. Whenever you choose to come back to your rightful place with him or the Lord, his arms are always open. No matter the hurt or pain, if you're willing to go through the process, he is there to help you through. I can't stress enough why this podcast was placed on my heart, but it's in real time turning into something that I didn't really picture it being in the beginning. And it only truly gets better from here, when I'm really truly opening myself and allowing my mouth to say stuff and not trying to censor what naturally would come out of my mouth because I'm trying to either put an air on or trying to fit in with certain people or trying to maneuver my way into being a certain way. That's not what this is about. This is for something greater, and I have to let it be the way that it is, how God has set it up. So we return back to the same chorus of the song, which I discussed early, and hit the bridge of the song, which says, just reach out and let me touch you, give you strength through your night. Close your eyes and rest your head on my shoulders, and I'll make it all right. Now, this section of the song is one of the parts that I really do enjoy. This section of the song is the comforting part of the song, because after you reach out and do what you have to do or what is required of you to speak to God and say, come on, Lord, do what you need to do with me, work through me, you take the lead, I take my hands off of it, all of those different things, little by little, or even drastically, he touches every part of what she sang in the chorus of the song, What About You? Where she was talking about everybody needs somebody to love. Everybody wants a hand to hold. Everybody needs salvation for your soul. So what about you? The Lord indeed will be there to touch you when you need him. He is there to hold your hand and guide you. And as he holds your hand, he'll hold it on your path to purpose. You can put your trust in him so much in the dark times. He'll be there for that shoulder you need when you need something to lean on. And he will also provide that salvation for you, or that lifeline that I mentioned earlier in the chorus, and I defined it earlier in the song. He'll be that lifeline for you when you need him, or when you're afraid, or all of those things that go into those dark times sometimes. It is all available for you, and it's there when you need it. So after that bridge, she ends up returning back to the chorus and continually saying twice over all of those things that she said before about everyone needing some love, everybody wanting a hand to hold, everybody needing salvation for your soul. What about you? She repeats it again, and then she fades it out with, what about you? So what about you? So what about you? It's almost like when you think about it in church, it's like that call to the altar. Will you come? Are you here? Or do you want to come in and get everything that you're supposed to be? Do you want to fulfill your God-given purpose on this earth and while you're here? And so everybody needs all of these things, and you're definitely not excluded from it. You are and can be included with it. So I do believe songwriting is such a powerful tool. I want to shout out Cece Winans right now, because her albums have never, ever missed. Her and Tony did an amazing job with this album. I remember that all of her music has music from every catalog for every type of person, from Everlasting Love to the other album that I really like, which was Purified. Those are the two that I remember because they had a more upbeat, like urban type sound to them. I really enjoyed those two albums, but I also have to make an interesting mention to Let Them Fall in Love with You that she came out with about 5 years ago. That song during the pandemic really also really ministered to different parts of my life during that time. So we go through different phases. So we need all of that sometimes to uplift it. And sometimes music is the way that it comes through. It might not necessarily, yes, read the word. It's there for you. But music is also another alternative to making sure that you're getting that word plugged into your life. And it's important to finding purpose. I do realize that the more that I was listening to other music, I wasn't finding no vision. I wasn't finding what I needed. So I needed albums like that. And so those albums that I mentioned, The Purified and The Everlasting Love, I wanted to bring attention to those because those albums don't get as much attention as some of these more frequent ones that we hear now, or some of the more famous ones. Alone in His Presence was famous. Alabaster Box, famous. It was highly regarded. But these two kind of fell by the wayside, but they're needed for people like me who need something or need to hear that you are still important. You are still loved. There is still a place for you. All you have to do is walk back into it and come. So I truly, truly, truly do hope that you enjoy today's episode. If you like today's episode and like more of what you're hearing or seeing, let me know if you wanted me to do more of these. I'm going to finish out my Songs of Spring series with other songs that have done the same for me. But let me know if this is something that you really, really enjoyed. I look forward to having some more fun with this, and hopefully it's inspiring you guys along the way with everything that I am talking about. So make sure you follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Deluxe Dave for updates on my podcast, along with funny and nostalgic videos that will hopefully bring a smile to your face. Also join or follow Coleman on Purpose pages on IG and TikTok. They have two platforms, which I have just exclusively stuff about Coleman on Purpose on there. You can follow those as well, so make sure you're following those. Now, please remember, wherever you are on your journey, remember each day you are breathing is another day to fiercely chase after your God-given purpose, because you are unique, you are loved, and you are created for greatness. Until next time, holla.